Is forgiveness hard? You know it is. It's a challenge for any adult, and it's a real challenge for parents. If you have two children going at it, what do? Well, in our case, we had 2, 3, 4, 5, eventually 14. And we ran into a lot of situations like this.
John, what do you have there?
An airplane.
Oh, you took that to the shrine today, didn't you? Mark David, go back there.
Now, we'll show you at the end of the video what happened here. And as an added bonus, Paul will come, the present Paul, and talk about what the young Paul did on that day long ago. But before I do that, let me just talk a little bit more about what Kathy and I did to try to create a culture of forgiveness within the family. You know, it's hard even if you have two children. But when you have 3, 4, 5, and we had a big team of FamTeam, a family team, things were happening all the time. You couldn't see everything. You had to instill ahead of time the theme of forgiveness. And what we tried to do is to make it an honorable, kind of a self-respecting thing to be a forgiver. So we tried to build up the alternative that, in our case with all these men, they're real men are bigger than petty resentments. You know, of course, with Mary Elizabeth, our only daughter, the same theme. If we had had 13 girls, we would have just said a real woman, is very forgiving, that you don't win anything by holding resentment. You actually are classy. You're kind of above the fray. You're the one in control. When you forgive, you're washing your hands of it. You're free on your end. And so we tried to do that, but it was still very tricky because kids don't always listen to logic. So what we had to do was what could we do as parents? What could we do to control the situation or contribute to the situation? Well, one thing we could do is to be forgiving and to speak the truth in love to them, but let the biggest memory of any correction or any knowledge of their failure be love and mercy and building forward. And also, what helped is just practical fun, getting distracted, getting out, playing games, burning off energy, keeping the atmosphere of the home very light and keeping it fun. That's the opposite of coldness, resentment, bitterness, and all of those things that drag people into isolation. So you can do a lot just by creating an atmosphere of joy, forgiveness, love in the family. Now, I promised you that we would show you what happened in that video that was taken on our front porch at the old house so many years ago. A crisis was averted because Paul was distracted. But I have to say, as his dad, that I'm very proud of Paul because in all the years since that time, he has chosen forgiveness. He has a very good heart, and I'm really proud and happy that he has shown this example to all of his younger siblings, being the oldest. Now, Paul, the present Paul, is going to chime in. Let's hear from him. Paul, what do you think about what happened on that day so long ago?
That wasn't one of my proudest moments as a kid. John and I are so close, and he's my next younger brother. I can't remember very many fights at all, and it's just kind of hard to see that he's there with his beautiful little cherished airplane and just showing it off proudly to the camera without a care in the world. And then suddenly I jump into the frame and just decide, I guess I just decided I wanted it that second. I had to see it. I think my thinking was that I was asking very reasonably that, hey, I just want to see it for a second. And I thought, well, hey, John, come on, you're overreacting. You're acting like a baby. And so here, I got to teach this guy a lesson. Here, I'm not going to give it back to you now. And I was definitely in the wrong. I'm the one who needed forgiveness there. Seeing that video makes me really have empathy for what it's like for younger brothers and for people who are actually bullied. I wasn't truly bullied in any kind of serious way, but I definitely had a few kids in the neighborhood who would give me a hard time. There was this one guy who, I think I was about 10, he was maybe 12, and he must have had a growth spurt a lot earlier. He was big, he was also kind of stocky, and he would push around different kids in the neighborhood. And for some reason, I was on his radar at some point, and I remember there'd be things like we'd have a snowball, maybe he'd nail me with an ice ball in the neck or something, and just things like that, or just kind of talking big or threatening me. If you want to picture what he was like, he was there. That kid on what was that show? Home Alone. Remember the Home Alone movie in the 90s? The older brother, I forgot his name. Was it Biff or something? Or no, Biff is Back to the Future. But you know, the kid with the crew cut, kind of a stocky older brother. He looked a lot like him during that era. We somehow came up with the nickname of Lug because we would call him a big lug, not to his face, but behind closed doors, we'd say, oh, that big lug. And then we just started calling him Lug for short. Even now, if I went up to my brother, John or Mark or Luke and said, hey, remember Lug? They would know exactly who I was talking about. He always wore like these striped shirts and striped collared shirts. And so if we go to Walmart now and we see a striped collared shirt, we always say, oh yeah, it's kind of a Lug shirt, you know? I have a Lug shirt. Maybe I should wear that tonight. I wouldn't say I ever had any like real hard feelings toward Lug. I know that I need forgiveness in so many areas. So I think Dad's right in the way they taught us was that it's healthy to forgive right away. Just don't hold a grudge. And so Lug, if you're watching right now, I forgive you for the ice ball. I forgive you for pushing me around in basketball. I forgive you for anything else you may have done. And I asked, hey, John, forgive me too for taking your airplane on my 6th birthday. When I had everything else going my way, I had to steal his one airplane too. But it's pretty funny that as soon as my grandpa and grandma showed up, we were happy again. So I don't think it went very deep for either of us.
Hey, I'm so glad that we have this footage that we can show you some practical examples of learning moments for the whole family. Thanks for watching this video, and please watch all of them.